Very good evening and welcome to the Buddhist Mahavihara's Facebook page here at Facebook. And we are here this evening, this Friday, to discuss a new series that is on the Brahmaviharas. We have just completed the 10 perfections over the last 8 weeks or so at the Buddhist Vihara's Facebook page. And we are now moving on to a new series, and that's called the Brahmaviharas. And this evening we have with us Bhante from Sri Lanka, but this Bhante is known to us. He has come on our Facebook pages, also in a Dhammadana series. He was here in Malaysia last year, giving live sermons at the Buddhist Mahavihara. I would now like to kindly invite Bhante, Dr. P. Yasassi, Thera, to join us. Good evening, Bhante.
Good evening.
And welcome to Buddhist Mahavihara's Facebook page.
Okay, thank you. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Samanta cakkhavalesu atra gaccantu devata saddhammang munirajassa sunantu sagga mukkadang Dhammasavana kalo ayang badanta Dhammasavana kalo ayang badanta Dhammas savana kalo ayang badanta. Good evening, Dhamma friends.
Sorry, I was supposed to read your profile before we started.
Okay.
Just give me a few minutes. I'll read your profile. For those of them who are just joining us for the first time, let me read Bhante's profile to you. Just give me a minute to expand this. Okay, Venerable Dr. P. Yasassi, Thera is a senior lecturer at the University of Sri Jayawardenepura, Sri Lanka. He's also a visiting lecturer at the Buddhist and Pali University in Sri Lanka, the University of Kelaniya, and the University of Colombo. Bhante is a scholar in Buddhist culture, Buddhist civilization, and also on Buddhism and management. The discipline encompasses research related to Buddhist studies, and he has authored 6 books and 7 editions, one of which is called Buddhist Attitude to Freedom and Quest. Bhante has also just published a new book called Faces of Buddhist Traditions, and this is actually a historical perspective on Buddhism. Bhante has also presented his research papers at several national and international conferences. So with that, we will start this evening's Dhamma sharing.
Thank you very much, and dear Dhamma friends, today I am very happy to be here with you in this evening to talk about Brahmavihara series. I am the one who got the chance for conducting first sermon of this series. Today's sermon, today's Dhamma talk is on the first Brahmavihara, which is known as Metta. Before starting today's talk, since today is the initial day of the Brahmavihara series, I would like to introduce you or explain what is Brahmavihara for your understanding. Dear Dhamma friends, as we know, the general meaning of the term Brahmavihara is living as Brahmas, or the godly way of living. It means Brahmavihara means godly way of living. On the other hand, Brahmavihara is considered one of 4 gradually upgraded qualities of 1, love. Collectively, according to the Pali canonical text, It is known as state of unbounded or magnanimous living. Why this is called unbounded? The Pali term found in Abhidhamma and Pali canonical literature with regard to the term Brahmavihara is called Appamanya. You know, Appamanya is a kind of concomitant or the Chetasika found in Abhidhamma under the Chaitasika or the Chetasika part of the Abhidhamma. It is known as Appamanya or Appamana Vihara. Why this is called Appamanya? Unbounded. This is a kind of state that cultivates in one's mind without boundaries or without limitations, without any kind of limitations. These factors to be cultivated in that sense. This is known as Brahmavihara or Appamanya. As we know, according to the Pali Tripitaka and canonical text, there are three types of living or viharas. It means all our life can be classified into three categories according to Pali canonical literature. One is called Dibba Vihara. You know the meaning. Dibba means God. So Dibba Vihara is defined as four jhanas of Rupavachara. It is belong to Dibba Vihara. Then second one is called Brahmavihara, which is the Metta belongs to our today's topic. Brahmavihara means four sublime abodes. And third one is called Arya Vihara. Arya Vihara means 37 Bodhipakyas Dhammas. 37 the factors of enlightenment. Bodhipakya Dhamma is belong to the Arya Vihara. Out of these three, Brahmavihara is considered living just as a Brahma according to Pali canonical literature. You know, when the Buddha was born in India in 6th century BC, the most dominant religion of the India was Brahmanism. According to their teaching, they always tried to unite with the Brahma. In order to practice this unite with the Brahma, what they did was they entirely cultivated these qualities: loving kindness, metta, compassion, karuna, appreciative joy, mudita, and equanimity, upekka. They practice these four factors in order to live in the unite with the God according to their teaching. On the other hand, they had a life of celibacy for 48 years. After having 48 years celibacy period, they studied entire Vedic text, their religious scriptures. Having completed studies, having offered the pariskara to teachers, they renounce the household life and they are entering into the life of homelessness. Having left the household life, they entirely practice the way to the unite of the God by practicing metta, practicing these four factors in that sense, they had an idea regarding the practicing of Brahmavihara. Having completed all these things, they carried out their life towards the unite with the God, that is called Brahmavihara. Later on, with the development of the Buddhist teachings, Buddhism also cultivated or introduced this Brahmavihara according to the Buddha's teachings. Buddha has pointed out that Brahmavihara is also the great factors that one has to be cultivated in one's life. You know, in Anguttara Nikaya, there is a discourse known as Dona Sutta. In this sutta, it is mentioned, Buddha points out that Brahmavihara is the behavior of Mahabrahma. Arya Vihara is Brahmavihara, and Tathagata Vihara refers to the concentration of Anapanasati as mentioned in Ichanangala Sutta, another reference. I am not going to discuss them in detail. However, all these points clearly mentions what the Brahmavihara is and how they are carried out in our path. Then, as I mentioned earlier, Brahmavihara or practicing to have a godly life, heavenly life, 4 factors should be cultivated. As I said earlier, Metta, Karuna, Mudita, Upekha. Metta means loving kindness, Karuna, compassion, Mudita, appreciative joy, and last one is equanimity. It means Upekha. These are the 4 factors of the Brahmavihara. In today's talk, with that introduction to Brahmavihara, I would like to draw your attention on the first Brahmavihara, which is known as Metta or loving kindness. Here I would like to give you a quotation from Pali Tripitaka, how Metta is defined. It is defined in different ways. One example, Mettati, Metta Kammattanam, Vyapadassa Pahanaya, Vuttanaye Neva, Uppannassa Kopassa Pajahantaya. This is the definition given in Pali commentaries to Metta or loving kindness. What does it mean? Vyapadassa Pahanaya. Vyapada means that ill will, cruelty, anger, grudges. That is the Vyapada. Eradication of ill will, cruelty, anger, grudges. That is called Vyapada. So the Attakatha says that Metta is a kind of kammattana or the objective to meditation, which deals with the eradication of cruelty, ill will, anger, grudges, etc. Also, as you know, Metta is a kind of meditation which belongs to Samadhi in the practice of the Noble Eightfold Path. The initial stage is the Sila, second Samadhi. In Samadhi stage, one has to practice Metta or the loving kindness to achieve or the Samadhi concentrate the mind. On the other hand, in Samatha meditation, which is known as Samadhi meditation, there are 10 Anusatis, which gives the objectives to meditation. So the Brahmavihara should be practiced after Dasa Anusati, according to Samadhi meditation. So in that sense, metta comes to the idea of that sense. Then we have to pay our attention on what the metta is. The Pali term metta gives a multi-significant term. As I say, why I am saying that multi-significant term? We cannot give, it is difficult to give a definite meaning to the term Brahmavihara, Metta. It gives the idea of loving kindness, friendliness, goodwill, benevolence, fellowship, amity, concord, inoffensiveness, and non-violence. All these are significant meanings given to the term metta, but in terminology, out of all these things, we use the term loving kindness for the metta or the metta. Again, as far as concerning the commentarial definitions, commentators say that parahita parasuka kamana. They use 3 words to denote the loving kindness. Parahita parasuka kamana. It means that strong wish for the welfare and happiness of others. Strong welfare and happiness of others. That is the loving kindness, nature of the loving kindness. Another point is that loving kindness evokes, it originates warm-hearted feeling of fellowship, sympathy and love, which grows boundless, irrespective of any discriminations based on caste, creed, social status, etc. Loving kindness is created or originated only the minds of warm-hearted people. Warm-hearted people. When looking at others' sympathy or when looking at others' bad situation, a kind of beneficial to others, that such kind of idea comes to the mind. In that sense, it is known as this kind of idea or the thought is known as loving kindness. Therefore, you know what the metta or loving kindness is. Then I would like to draw your attention on how we can practice metta or loving kindness. In Visuddhimagga, it is pointed out 11 steps to practice loving kindness. Normally we practice loving kindness saying that may I be well and happy, may others be well and happy, or something like that. But that is not the real way of practicing metta or loving kindness. In practicing metta or loving kindness, we have to carry out 11 steps. What are those 11 steps? First one is called eradicating all types of the impediments. If you practice meditation, you have to identify what are the impediments makes barriers to your meditation. Where the Pali term is palibodha. In practicing meditation, we have to identify and we have to eradicate the impediments first. What are they? Some of you are, even in listening Dhamma, practicing meditation, you are thinking of your houses, your belongings, properties. It is called avasa palibodha. thinking of the houses and properties. Then second one is called Kula Palibodha. Kula means attachment, attaching to the families. You are thinking of your wife, your husband, children, even the relatives. That is called Kula Palibodha. Then Labha Palibodha. You are thinking of the profits that you gain from your business, from your any kind of job, occupation, and whatever it is, any kind of attach into the fourfold requirements you need to sustain your life. What are the food, clothes, shelters, medicines, and such and so called? Thinking of those things are called Labha Palibodha. Fourth one is called Gana Paribodha. Gana means thinking of your followers, disciples, thinking of the people who are around you. That is called Gana Palibodha. Another one is fourth one, Navakamma Palibodha. Navakamma means you suppose that you are constructing your house, you are repairing your house, and you are planning to build new house or new building or whatever it is. Thinking of those things is also a Palibodha or impediment to meditation. It is called Navakamma Palibodha. Another one is Adhana Palibodha. Adhana means going here and there, the journey, the idea of going here and there. You are thinking of going to your village, going to abroad, or whatever it is. Since this period is due to the COVID-19, we are in our own place without going anywhere. However, other days we are thinking of going any other place to see others or whatever it is. This is called Adhana Palibodha. And the next one, seventh one is called Jnati Palibodha, thinking of your relatives, thinking of your parents, your brothers, sisters, siblings, or the something like that. Then eighth one is called Abadha Palibodha. Abadha means diseases, affecting to thinking of the diseases you have affected to your body, physical body, or psychological body, or the physical or mental diseases. Then the ninth one is called Grantha Palibodha. Grantha means, reading your religious text. If we are attached to even read our religious text, Tripitaka, canon, or commentaries, that is also a kind of Palibodha to practice meditation. And the last one is called Irdi Palibodha. Irdi means having a miraculous power. It is also Palibodha to Vipassana meditation, not the Samatha meditation. Last one is impediment to practice Vipassana meditation. Therefore, these are known as the impediments. So the first step of the practicing of the loving kindness meditation as a meditation, loving kindness, is to identify and eradicate all types of impediments. And second step is you should be very comfort of your body. You should be very comfort of your body. It means that you suppose that if you are feeling hunger, you cannot practice meditation productively. Therefore, you have to fulfill your such physical requirements like having food, drinking of water, or whatever you need. So having this kind of the physical comfort, you have to get ready for the meditation. The second step. Also, the Visuddhimagga says, third step is introspection of the consequences of ill will or anger. In the third step, you have to introspect what are the consequences of the Koda, or the vyapada, koda, ill will, anger. You have to introspect the consequences of such kind of evil thoughts. Otherwise, you cannot practice loving kindness. Then fourth one says, introspecting the results of the patience. Patience means shanti, or the practice in loving kindness. You should have a clear idea on what are the advantages, what are the results that we can gain by practice in loving kindness. That knowledge, understanding should be existed in our mind. Otherwise, it is difficult. Another thing is that fifth step. Now you have the completed success. You suppose that you have successfully completed these steps one by one. Then you have to think from whom you should start practicing loving kindness. Buddhism, in the canonical text, even the Attakatha commentaries points out that you have to think of, you should not start practicing meditation from 6 people, 6 persons. What are the 6? Those who are not interested you, which is called appear, amanapa. You suppose that there is a person whom you doesn't like. Don't start practicing loving kindness from him. Second one is called atipriya. Ati means those those who should not start practicing loving kindness from your most relatives ones, or the most interested people. It is not the best way in starting practice in loving kindness of meditation. Also, third person says that you should not start practicing loving kindness from the moderated people, or the moderate people, not neither so close nor so distance, right? Don't start from the moderated people. And also fourth person says that he is the one who against to you. Very person, very means one who against, enemy, one who tries to make harms to you. Don't start from that person. And the next one says one who has the difference in their gender, those who have the different gender issues regarding the neutral or something like that. From those people you should not start practicing loving kindness. And the last person says that one who died. Don't start practicing loving kindness from dead people. So avoid these 6 persons. You have to start loving kindness. That is why, having avoided all these 6 types of people, we can start meditation from ourselves. That is why we start meditation saying that aham avero homi, abhyapajyo homi, something like that. One has to start. That is the best way of practicing meditation, loving kindness meditation from oneself is the best way. One can argue that you know that in Buddhism clearly says that Buddha has completely rejected selfishness, atmavada, I, myself. This is the idea of oneself, mamayana, mamankara, ahankara. Buddhism has really rejected to have these kinds of thoughts in your mind. Then some of the scholars, some of the people try to say that if Buddhism rejects to maintain myself, or I, this kind of thoughts, how one should start? One starts meditation from oneself first. That is an argument raised by certain people in this regard. You know, you have the answer to that question from this explanation. Why Buddha, the commenters points out that don't start meditation practice in loving kindness from such and so called people, because it, rather than that one should try to start meditation oneself. The reason is that one who does not love yourself never loves to others. One who practices loving kindness to oneself cannot practice loving kindness to others. That is why you have to love yourself first. You have to cultivate, spread loving kindness first to you, and then you can start spreading loving kindness to the others. So those are the people people who are not eligible to start practicing loving kindness people. Then we have to start from oneself. Then how to spread loving kindness? It is also clearly mentioned in the commentaries. As I said earlier, Visuddhimagga clearly mentions that you have to start from yourself, then you have to extend your practice in loving kindness to your teachers, instructors, those who guide you, those who instruct you, those who teach you. You have to practice, you have to spread gradually your loving kindness to others, especially for the teachers. After the teachers, you have to spread your loving kindness to your parents, father and mother. Then after the father and mother, you have to practice or spread your loving kindness to your friends and companions. Then next step is to spread loving kindness to the people, medium friends, or the not too close friends who are not neither close nor distance, medium. And the last one says that those who angry or ill will, you have to spread your loving kindness. Those who angry with you, those who against you, weary people, or such kind of against people at the end. Now you can see it is pointed out in Pali text. We have to practice loving kindness starting from oneself, then should spread it gradually towards the most worst or the most distant person in the universe. That is the steps that loving kindness should be cultivated. Now there is a systematic way. Also there is a psychological idea behind these gradual steps. As I said earlier, if you practice loving kindness from yourself, then you can extend it to your teachers, parents, even your relatives, something like that. The most closest people to the most distant people, we can gradually spread our loving kindness. Then it is easy to practice loving kindness. Therefore, Buddhism guides us to how to practice loving kindness in that sense. On the other hand, here I would like to draw your attention. In Buddhism, Buddha always say that loving kindness is a kind of principle of non-violence. A kind of principle of non-violence. Buddha says that nahi verena verani sammantida kudachana averena cha sammanti esa dhammo sanattano. By hatred never ceases. Only by friendliness or the loving kindness we can we can overcome the hatred. Therefore, it is a kind of noble principle according to Buddhism. Another thing is that loving kindness is not something happens in your physical body. Don't think like that. It is not something happens in your physical body. It is entirely happens in one's own mind. How we cultivate loving kindness, that depends on the mind of the individual, not because of the physical body of the individual. Therefore, this should be cultivated in our mind. Also, one who practices loving kindness, ready to overcome selfishness. One who does not practice loving kindness always practices the selfishness. He cannot overcome selfishness until without practicing loving kindness. Therefore, this is the most practical way of cultivating loving kindness. On the other hand, there are certain Jataka stories. I would like to draw your attention on a Jataka story. Two Jataka stories. One is called Sama Jataka, which clearly explains the advantage and how to the advantage of the practicing of loving kindness. You know the story of Samajataka. Once the Bodhisattva was born in a remote family, in a village. The Bodhisattvas, both the parents were blind. Therefore, those two parents were looked after by the Bodhisattva, the child or the boy, Sama, Prince Sama. While he was going to the forest in collecting food for his parents, he was shot by a arrow sent by a hunter in the forest. Then he got injured with that the shot of the arrow. Then what happened? Those parents they had an inception idea of their mind when the sun was delayed. There may be a dangerous in front of the sun. Then what happened? Both parents, blind parents, went to the forest searching of the sun. Then they identified that the boy was having certain, the difficulty in the forest. Then those two parents, the father and mother of Prince Sama, they in that place, what they did was they entirely remembered and made determination, saying that my son never made any harm to any other creature in the universe. He has devoted entire his life towards the benefit of ourselves and the others. He never commits any kind of violence against to any other creature. So the memorizing, introspecting these words, these ideas, those blind mothers, they made determination and blessed the son. Then at the end of the blessing, what happened? The son, the Prince Sama, got recovered from all the injuries, and he was got recovered from those things. Now here, this is the ideal Jataka story which is found in the Jataka tales, which explains how Bodhisattva practiced loving kindness in his life. In the same way, many Jataka stories like Shantivadi Jataka and so many Jataka stories found in Jataka text. However, all these examples clearly mentions the significance of the practicing of loving kindness, and what are the advantages and results that can be gained. On the other hand, as a religion, as a philosophy, Buddhism always maintains the humanistic religion. Buddha has advised in Buddhist teachings, it is mentioned that Buddha advised his disciples to practice loving kindness rather than mere loving kindness, but it is a kind of universal loving kindness. Universal loving kindness. Why we call universal loving kindness? In our general life, day-to-day life, we have the idea of appreciative joy or the loving kindness for our parents, regarding our children, our wife or husband or the neighbors. But Buddhism emphasizes that when we practice loving kindness, we have to start from oneself, and we have to spread it towards entire the universe. That is what the Buddha has pointed out in Metta Sutta of Samyutta Nikaya, Kuddaka Pata. Metta, or we call Karaniya Metta Sutta. As you know, the most popular or the prominent quotation is Mata Yataha Niyang Puttang Ayusa Eka Putta Manurakke. Evampi Sabba Bhutesu Manasang Bhavaye Aparimana. What is the meaning of this quotation? It says that just as a mother would protect her own son, her only son, with her life or at the expense of her life, even so, let everyone to cultivate this boundless love to all living beings. That is the general main idea of the loving kindness in Buddhism. You think if you have only a child, then how you try to safeguard, protect the life of your own child, your only child, right? Without making any trouble to your child, you always think how to protect, safeguard your only son, only child. In the same way, you have to practice, cultivate loving kindness towards entire the universe, towards the all living beings in the universe. You see how Buddhism emphasizes in practice in loving kindness, how it becomes a universal love, universal loving kindness, no any limitations, no boundaries. It is boundless according to Karaniya Metta Sutta. Metta Sutta clearly points out. On the other hand, this sutta further explains how this should be cultivated towards the others. It says that we have to cultivate loving kindness without any discrimination, the frail or strong, the lone, the large, the medium sized, the short, the thin or fat, those visible, those invisible, those living far away, those who are nearby, beings who are already be born, those are not, those are yet unborn, saying that by making a list, it says that Sabbe Satta Bhavantu Sukhitatta. May all they be happy. May all beings be happy. May all beings be well and happy. That is why, that is how Buddhist idea, teaching of loving kindness becomes a universal idea according to the Metta Sutta. You see, even those who are not born, those who are yet unborn, we have to practice loving kindness towards them. Those who are visible or invisible, it is not a point for us to practice loving kindness, but we have to practice loving kindness even visible and invisible beings in the universe. If we practice loving kindness in that way, we can have the better way of practicing loving kindness. This is called universal loving kindness in Buddhism. No any, as I said earlier, no boundaries, no limitations, no any kind of discrimination or the any favors, thinking that this is my people, my family members, my relatives, our country, nothing. Entire universe, not only for the human beings, but also each and every creatures of the universe, we have to introspect and we have to cultivate loving kindness. That is the Buddhist principle of practice in loving kindness. Then finally, I am not going to discuss in detail in my talk rather than this description. But if we practice, if we cultivate loving kindness meditation, loving kindness to others, even though we say that the loving kindness meditation, it is not mere meditation, but it is a kind of quality that everyone can practice in their day-to-day life. No need to go to a forest monastery to practice loving kindness meditation in the meditation posture. When you are going here and there, when you are thinking, when you are talking, when you are working with your company, workplace, even when you are living in your house, anytime you can practice loving kindness towards the others. That is, only your mind should be ready to practice loving kindness to others. Then you can practice it anytime by yourself. Then the advantages. Why we need to practice loving kindness? Buddha has clearly pointed out among his discourses, if you practice loving kindness properly, you can obtain these results, advantages. You know, Metta Sutta mentions 11 advantages you can accumulate, you can achieve if you practice loving kindness. What are the 11? Number 1, Sukhang Supati. You can, one sleeps happily. If you practice loving kindness, you can sleep very happy without any, breakdown. You can sleep happy. Second one is called Sukhang Patibujjati. You can wake peacefully. In the early morning, you can wake up peacefully when you practice loving kindness. Then third one says, Na papakang supinang passati. no sees bad dreams in the when you are sleeping. You never sees bad dreams if you practice loving kindness. Then one is dear to human beings, manusanang pyohoti. Each and every individual people likes to see you. Anyone does not reject you. They likes to see you again and again because of practice in loving kindness. Your face, your complexion, your appearance would be very calm, serene if you practice loving kindness. Not only the humans, but also non-human beings. You will be dear to non-human beings such as devas, brahmas, yakhas, or the gandharvas, or any other non-human beings. They dear to you. They do not make any harmful to your life or your life. Then you will be protected by the god devas, devata rakhanti. Wherever you go, whatever you do, and whenever you work, at that time you will be protected by the gods. Then fire, poison, and weapon cannot injure your physical body. Such kind of natural calamities cannot make any kind of injuries for your physical body. Then if you practice loving kindness, your mind can be concentrated easily. That is why it is related to samadhi meditation or samatha meditation, concentration of the noble eightfold path, sila, the threefold training. Your mind becomes easily concentrated. And the ninth one says, Mukhavanno vipasidati. Your facial complexion will be serene. Everyone will like to see your facial complexion. That will be very serene. And one will die unconfused. This is also very good advantage result we can gain, because in Buddhism we understand that the next life would be decided according to the last volitions, final volitions that occurs in our mind when we are on the deathbed. So if we are able to die unconfused mind, that would be a good result for us to be born in the good places, heavenly places in next life. And finally says that if a person did not attain arahantship or any other higher penetrates, at that time, such individuals would be born in the Brahma world as a result of practice in loving kindness. So that before the enlightenment, then next life we can be born in the heavenly or the Brahma world as a result of practice in loving kindness. You see how advantageous, how much advantages we can gain by practice in loving kindness. So in Brahmavihara, this says appamanya, as I said at the beginning, due to this situation. Therefore, dear Dhamma friends, you may think we have to first establish inner peace in our heart, in our mind. Then we have to practice that towards the other people in the universe, other beings in the universe. Most of the people are raising a question. We cannot accumulate merit, we cannot accumulate wholesome without money, without expensing much money. That is a negative idea maintained by many people in our society. But if we have the clear idea on the Dhamma, we can accumulate merit and wholesome even without a coin of money. That without having a coin of even a coin of money, what we have to do is we have to ready our mind, ready to our mind to make, to practice loving kindness and such and so called good thoughts, good qualities in our mind. Then it would be beneficial for us to maintain a very happy, quiet, serene life in this life, and hereafter we can be born in the pleasureful places in our next life. Not only that, if this is practiced, loving kindness is practiced by our thoughts, by our deeds, by our words, then as a result of that, it will be influence or the cause for us to concentrate our mind. As a result, samatha meditation would be practiced. Then it is the way to create the or the lead the path to attain enlightenment by practicing vipassana or insight meditation. Dear Dhamma friends, you may keep these ideas in your mind and think of how we can gain, accumulate merits and wholesome without expending money, only by cultivating these benevolence or the good thoughts in our mind. That would be beneficial for your sansaric journey to make it very happy and peaceful place. So wish you that is, with that words I would like to conclude today's Dhamma talk. If you have any question, I am ready to answer for your question.
Thank you, Bhante. That was a very excellent discussion. We have actually three questions this evening. Actually, all three questions are from one devotee, Brother Hai. Let me just post those questions for you on the screen. Can you see the question, Bhante?
Yeah, can. He is asking, soldiers are trained to kill. During wars, soldiers have to kill to defend their country. How can soldiers practice metta during wars? You may remind that in Buddhism, when explaining the concept of karma, it says that Chetanahang bhikkhave kammang vadan. O monks, volition is the karma, action, according to the Buddha's teaching. Now you have to think uh, in a war, in such kind of situation, why we are fighting against the terrorist. What is our idea? What is our objective? What is our volition? You know, in a country like Sri Lanka, we are experiencing, since we have no war yet, most of the people are very happy and they are having a very peaceful life and they are maintaining a very peaceful life. Before the end of the war, every day we were asking, killing, dying, or the shooting, and many other, killing people. Even the blasting bombs in the buses and everywhere, streets and so on. You know, even though the soldiers, by sacrificing their life, since they practiced or the fight against the soldiers, against the terrorists, now everyone has the consolation in their mind. With that volitions, right, or the good volitions beneficial to oneself and many other people, or the consolation to gain consolation to other people. They have devoted, they have sacrificed, they have even killed terrorists or the against the soldiers of the against parties. But we cannot, in that circumstance, we cannot control those things. But we have to think of the volition in which kind, why we are doing this. Even in that time, even in killing terrorist or any other against a person or something like some person like that, even the soldiers have to think that I will do that for the sake of others. I will do this for the benefit of others. Then the evil can be reduced by cultivating this kind of very rightful understanding. Second question is, to radiate metta to our enemies during meditation is not difficult. However, to have metta for our enemies when we meet them in real life every working day is not easy. How do we overcome this problem? To have metta for our enemies when we meet them in real life working is not easy. You are asking, it is not difficult to practice metta for your enemies when you are not seeing them. And when you are seeing them day-to-day life, it is difficult to practice loving kindness. That is up to you. That is up to you and up to how you think. You know, the most effective idea is that you are very easy to practice loving kindness if the enemy is in front of you, not in away from you. That is why in Buddhist strategy of practice in meditation, you suppose that the practicing of the marana sati, practicing the what we call thinking of our body or whatever it is. By keeping a dead body in front of you, you are practicing marana sati, marana anusati bhavana. Then you can clearly understand. You can clearly understand how the changes of the dead body occurred step by step. Vinilaka Vipubbaka in such and so called it is mentioned. Then when the dead body is in front, you can easy to understand and concentrate your mind by practicing that meditation. In the same way, if you are ready to practice loving kindness at the presence of your enemy, that is the most effective way to cultivate your mind up to that level. Otherwise, if you don't see them for a long time, you can practice because your mind never hurt because of thinking of them. No, automatically that loving kindness is practiced in such situation. But the best way is to in front of the enemies, you try to practice loving kindness, thinking with that idea. So that depends on how you are thinking and how you are practicing loving kindness. The next question is, if we practice metta without wisdom, other people, especially our enemies, may take advantage of our kindness. They may think that we are weak and can be easily bullied. Does Bhante agree that we practice metta with wisdom? Definitely. Not only the metta, whatever you practice, You should practice that with wisdom. Without wisdom, practicing only something is just as a blind. According to Buddhism, all the time, every time, if you even you when you are walking, even sleeping, and any kind of movement in your life, you have to practice all these things with wisdom. That is known as sati sampajanya, or the mindfulness. Even practicing loving kindness, you have to be very careful, uh, and you have to practice that with wisdom and mindfulness. But if you when you practice that, weak people, enemies will think that you are not, they will think that since because of your weakness you are respecting to him or her like that. But we should not think of that, because whatever we collect will be brought by ourselves to our next life. Whatever others collect would be taken to their sansaric life. That depends on the result oriented. Therefore, always we should try to maintain these good qualities by ourselves without concerning the response of the others. But we should be able to, we should be wise in controlling and managing all the things according to the time, according to the situation, and according to the circumstance.
Thank you, Bhante. I hope Bhante has managed to answer the questions by Raja Hai. I hope you are satisfied with the answers given by Bhante. So we've come to the end of today's Dhamma sharing on the first Brahmavihara, which is Metta, loving kindness. So before we end, I would like to invite Bhante to share the merits with all the devas as well as the dearly departed, and also to a special dedication that we would like to make to a devotee of ours. Bhante, would you kindly?
Okay, now, dear Dhamma friends, we listen to a Dhamma talk, Dhamma sharing for more than 1 hour, around 1 hour. I suppose that I think that you got knowledge or the ideas with our Dhamma talk. That would be beneficial for your this life and hereafter. Buddha says that preaching Dhamma, even the listening Dhamma, discussing the Dhamma are the meritorious deeds. Therefore, during this hour, by concentrating our mind and listening to the Dhamma, the noble teachings of the Buddha, we accumulated much merit. So now I would like to transfer those merits to the deities first. The deities who are safeguarding our life, may they be rejoiced these merits, and may they safeguard you, especially for the sponsors of today's Dhamma sharing, and all those who join to this Dhamma sharing. May you be protected by the gods and Brahmas, and may gods and Brahmas be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Then I would like to transfer merits to the dead and gone, especially of the those who sponsored today's Dhamma sharing, as well as those who listen to today's Dhamma sharing. May all the departed ones be well and happy. May their sansaric life be rejoiced with the merits that we accumulated and accumulate and transferred. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. I would like to especially remember or the memorize, as well as make a blessing for the 98th birthday anniversary of mother-in-law of Mr. Leslie, who is guiding and who is organizing all these Dhamma sharing programs during last few months as well as earlier. Madam Alavati Jayasinghe. She was the mother-in-law of Mr. Leslie, and a 98th birthday celebration is today. Madam, wish you all the best. May you be well and happy. May you be have longevity and long life with the power of this merit we accumulated, as well as I wish all the best, and may all your life, your neighbors, your family members, may all they be well and happy, and may ward off corona COVID-19 from the universe, and may all be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. ආකාසට්ඨා ච බුම්මට්ඨා දේවා නාග මහිද්దికා පුඤ්ඤන්තං අනුමෝදිත්වා චිරං රක්ඛන්තු ලෝක සාසනං ආකාසට්ඨා ච බුම්මට්ඨා දේවා නාග මහිද්దికා පුඤ්ඤන්තං අනුමෝදිත්වා චිරං රක්ඛන්තු ලෝක සාසනං ආකාසට්ඨා ච බුම්මට්ඨා දේවා නාග මහිද්దికා පුඤ්ඤන්තං අනුමෝදිත්වා චිරං රක්ඛන්තු ලෝක සාසනං අභිවාදන සීලිස්ස නිච්ඡං වද්දාපචායිනෝ චත්තාරෝ ධම්මා වඩ්ඩಂತಿ ආයුවන්නෝ සුඛං බලං ආයුරාෝග්‍ය සම්පatti සග්ග සම්පatti මේවච අතෝ නිබ්බාන සම්පatti විනාතේ සමිජ්ජතු සුඛී හෝතු.
Thank you, Bhante. Thank you so much for the Dhamma sharing this evening, and also to that special dedication that you made to my mother-in-law. So on behalf of the Committee of Management and also the monks of the Buddhist Brahmavihara, let me take this opportunity to thank you for taking time off from your very busy schedule. I know I've been trying to get in touch with you for a few weeks now, and it's been really busy schedule for you. And also to our sponsors this evening, who had sponsored this evening's Dhamma talk. Thank you to our sponsors, and also to those who have joined us this evening for listening in live to Bhante Dr. Yasassi. Just before we end, let me just remind you that this Sunday, on the 23rd of August, we have Bhante T. Suttadhara Thera from the USA, who will be speaking to us on the second Brahmavihara. It's called Karuna or Compassion. So do join us at 8:30 on Sunday night, for the second part of this Brahmavihara series. So with that, we've come to the end, and good night and be well. Sadhu.